And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Offsides, the unofficial official podcast of Charlotte Football Club. I am your host, Andres Robledo, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Pablo Robledo. What's up, Pablo?
What's up, everybody?
So today's episode will be covering the Colorado match that was played over the weekend, and then give our preview of the upcoming match this weekend with Orlando. But before we get to that, Pablo, you had some news for us?
Yeah, I mean, nothing crazy. I got a couple MLS news transfers. Looks like the LA Football Club is trying to re-sign Carlos Vela. One that is kind of interesting that stood out to me was Atlanta. I kind of like to keep up with what they're doing now since they are our rival.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like they're interested in signing the U.S. men's forward Matthew Hop.
Oh, okay.
He had a pretty good match against Panama when I think they beat those guys like 4-0 or maybe even 5-0 for the World qualifying match. Besides that, the Revolution, they signed a new goalkeeper out of Serbia. I'm not sure how you say his name. Petrovic, maybe?
Sounds Serbian.
Yeah. And then DC, they signed a new goalkeeper as well out of Venezuela. So a lot of new signing. Atlanta also signed a forward out of a Mexican league, the Chivas.
Mm-hmm.
What's his name? Oh, well, they didn't sign him. He's on loan, but he is coming over. So Atlanta's beefing up their squad. Besides that, I think everybody found out about the Zarsby's transfer that happened on Friday night, I believe it was, to Colorado. And we'll get into that later, but he did sign on with them and made his debut that very next day.
Yeah, less than 24-hour turnaround.
Right, which kind of goes to say, are they desperate or just kind of wanted to throw him in there?
Thanks for the news update. And as short as it was, we'll go ahead and just jump in right to our review of the match. Charlotte traveled to Colorado to face, obviously, the Colorado Rapids. Ended up being a 0-0 draw, so we're able to get our first away points finally. We came away with 1 point. Interesting lineup changes. No Ben Bender, and we see the inclusion of Christian Ortiz back into the starting lineup. And then I think, the manager Ramirez started listening to the podcast again, and he's put in Mora at left back and slid Fuchs over to center back at the expense of Juan Macoun. What'd you think of the new lineup?
I thought that was a pretty good lineup. It was a solid lineup. I was a bit surprised when I didn't see Bender on the starting lineup, but I wasn't upset about it. He hasn't been in like a slump or anything like that. He's very productive anytime he plays. But Ortiz was kind of on the up and up.
Yeah, he was kind of a little bit more in form.
Back to back. Yeah, he was in better form. So I'm glad to see that he did get that starting spot back. I was a bit worried because, we just played Greenville that Wednesday and he played a majority of that game. So I wasn't sure how he was going to do with like stamina wise. Like, was he going to be able to play a lot or what?
Yeah, especially playing in altitude.
Right. Yeah. Because that's another game kind of factor that went into this match is they're playing in Colorado. The altitude is much higher. And I'm sure it affects, how they perform. Seen it on football games, I'm sure, with like they have guys on the sideline with like oxygen mask and stuff like that. So, but I thought overall the team like held up very well. They didn't seem tired. They didn't seem like out of breath. And this was like, in regards to how they played other games, like there was a lot of sprinting and just a lot of running on the Charlotte side, it looked like. And yeah, they held up just fine.
Yeah, I have to agree with all that. I thought this is probably our most dynamic game. We created a lot of good chances, unlucky for none of them to go in. But I thought the team's passing this game was a lot more threatening, as well as just kind of, again, the movement off the ball and on the ball just seemed to be more dynamic and at a quicker pace, which is something that I think the team has lacked a little bit in the past couple games is just attacking at a bit of a faster pace, which I think is, something that has to be done in this league. It seems like everyone kind of attacks at a quicker pace. I don't know if it's just, Ramirez's system is getting used to the new league, and, maybe in, where he coached before, it was a bit slower pace. But it definitely feels like a lot of the teams here tend to be able to transition and attack really quickly. And it seemed like this away game was the first one I've seen us really do that really well.
Yeah, it's like you saw the counter attack develop a lot more, and for the better on this game. We seem to, when we were on defense, we seemed to play a lot of man to man, and it really played to our favor. Where like we were just cutting off passing lanes, and there was also another thing, like Colorado just seemed a bit off. Like their passing just was not all there. It seems like anytime they passed the ball to their guys, there was like it was too forward of a pass or too behind the guy, or just not a strong enough pass. And our guys were just cutting off those lanes a lot more than they usually have. And then once we did recover the ball, like there was guys sprinting forward to make plays, which I mean that's how it should be, but that's not how it has been lately. But I was glad to see that shift there in the counterattack.
Yeah, I agree. It was a pretty entertaining game, though, pretty back and forth. Both teams, had a couple chances that were just unlucky to not go in. So I kind of felt like the 0-0 draw was, deserved. It definitely could have been, it could have gone either way. It felt like, if the post doesn't save Colorado or, save us a couple times, Colorado could have easily taken the lead. And then if Colorado's goalkeeper doesn't, probably play the best game he's had all season, we definitely could have easily taken control of this game as well. So it was a good back and forth game.
Yeah, very much agree. It was that goalkeeper for Colorado definitely saved them this match. Just we'll probably talk about that highlight later on, but as like when he had those two back-to-back stops, and then Swiderski kind of just bombed it over. But even besides that one, Gaines, he had a stop on Gaines, he had a couple of stops on Ruiz. So yeah, that keeper definitely most likely got man of the match for them. And then on their side, I mean, they just weren't all there offensively. And the chances they did get, the post saved us on that. So thank goodness for that. But I think we called it last week when we said, these two teams are pretty even keel, and it was most likely going to end up in a draw, which is fine. You still get a point out of that.
Yeah.
And maybe in the long term, that point's going to be the one that ends up helping out. So I'd rather get a point than no points at all.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. So I guess start kind of jumping in the first half a bit more. With those lineup changes, how'd you think of the backline's performance in the first half?
I thought they did really good. Crujo seemed to have a better game. Fuchs just looks like a more natural center back than he does in that left back position. Going back to him playing at Greenville and then playing in this high altitude game, I was worried about Fuchs just being gassed.
Yeah.
And I know we mentioned it before, like he doesn't seem like he's a full 90 type of guy, but he proved me wrong on this one. I mean, obviously he's played every game, all of the games at full 90 minutes plus the stoppage time, but he didn't look tired is what I'm trying to get at. He looked like he was fine. Besides that, Lindsay is the one that I don't want to say he had a bad game, but he wasn't one of his better games. He did let a couple crosses in where I thought he could have pressured a little bit more. And then Franco was on that side. I saw that side get beat more on the runs than Fuchs and Mora's side.
Yeah, I thought Colorado, it's definitely more eager to attack down that left side where Lindsay was at, and him and Franco, their work rate all game was incredible. Just being able to get up and down the field, and especially like you said, Franco, just to be able to sprint 40-50 yards back to recover and help on the defense, and then transition to the offense, and to do it for I think he played pretty much the full 90 before he got taken off.
Yeah.
Shows the incredible fitness he has and the talent that's there. I thought this is probably one of his better games as well.
Yeah, I know Jones went in for him at the 90th minute. And I'd say, I mean, that makes sense because several times I saw Franco just running back just to get back on defense and then for us to recover the ball. And then, he's going to make that run back up. I was like, man, if they keep doing that on that side, he's not going to last long and he's not going to be very effective on that side. But, he did it all game long, and he was fine. He was making those runs. You could tell that the work rate for just all these guys was really high. I was Even though it ended up in a draw, like I said, it felt more of a win than the win we did have against Greenville.
Yeah, it was a more satisfying conclusion of the game.
Right.
I thought the midfield looked really good this week too. The inclusion of Ortiz was, like we mentioned before, it was not totally unexpected. I think last week you and I kind of discussed maybe we weren't really sure if he had earned the starting spot back yet, but definitely had earned, an early second half substitution. And, I guess with Bender seeing a lot of game time so early on in the career and Ortiz being in good form, scoring 2 in the last 2, the manager went ahead and started him. And I thought he, looked really good. Probably one of his better games as well. There's a couple times where I thought he was going to go on a really big run through the middle where he would just end up getting fouled. So I think Colorado is definitely aware of like his ability to turn and start the attack, especially in their half. And it looked like they game planned a little bit about that of just, trying to stop them, as high up the field as they could. But there's a lot of times where he was able to, pick the ball up, turn, and make a play. So it looks like he's starting to gain a bit more confidence in the league and finding his role in the team. And I think we're going to start seeing more of kind of what was expected of him when he first joined the team. Because at the beginning of the season, he was definitely probably one of the most hyped up players. Especially getting that number 10 jersey, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
And the performances weren't there, but it looks like now he's kind of turning that around.
Yeah. It looks like he's kind of gaining his confidence and and turning his play around. Like you said earlier, on as far as the midfield, I was happy with the way they performed, but it also looked like they changed some of their attacking tactics up. Normally, we get the ball, we pass it back to the defensive line, and then send it out towards the sides, and then kind of pass it up or run it up. But this time around, it was like, if defensive side got it or defensive middle got it, then we just kind of booted up the field, and it was a race to who got to the ball. And then once we were in their half, then control the ball up there with some passing around the box.
Yeah.
Very simple attack tactics, but it was just kind of bringing it back to the somewhat fundamentals, and it seemed to be working.
Yeah, in this game, when you look at it, I think there's definitely a lot more combination plays between the attackers. Rios and Alcivar and Swiderski were connecting up a few times. Franco and Swiderski were connecting up. So, and then obviously you got Ortiz in there as well. So definitely a lot, snappier passing in Colorado's, third, their defensive third. And, it created quite a few chances that, again, that Colorado keeper was just playing out of his mind to keep out. But, I think it's something we haven't really seen all season of just these like 1-2 quick passes, and movement off the ball that lead to these shots, or, even just playing it across the face of the goal to find an open player and switching the field that way, that we just haven't seen. And it felt like a lot more of attacks down the middle of the field too, compared to, always playing it out wide and then sending across in. It felt like we were, kind of attacking more through the center of the field.
Yeah, a lot, and a lot of it was, there was a lot of chances that were created when we just cut off the pass right around the middle and just counterattack really quickly. And that's where most of our guys seem to have been, is just right down the middle. And we saw in Ortiz when he got somebody cut the pass off and sent it up to Ortiz, and Ortiz started dribbling. Unfortunately, he was the ball was taken away from him and it went to Swiderski, and nothing really developed, but it was still like a good way of just opening up the attack and getting things going. Overall, it was a good attack scheme.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to get to is, it was like not too overcomplicated. You're not running down the sides and sending it in for a 50-50 ball. It's just pass and go, or pass away and find somebody that's open and work your way in inch by inch.
Yeah. What do you think of the performance by the two forwards? We've got Swiderski in there as well as Rios. That seems to be kind of the go-to forward line, lacking a little bit in the goals department, but I feel like especially Rio, well, both Swiderski and Rios, their work rate off the ball and finding space and linking up the play between the midfield and allowing them to run through has been really great, especially these last couple games. But particularly this one, it felt like both of them were, and Rios comes to mind more than Swiderski a little bit of just that work rate off the ball, just giving it 100% after each run and just trying to make something happen. What did you think of their performance?
I thought it was fairly decent. Swiderski, he had in the very early stages of the team starting up, he had 4 goals, two back-to-back goals on each game. He scored twice, obviously. But ever since then, he has been goalless. So I think on that matter, I could sense, and you could also see it too on many chances where he wasn't given the ball when he wanted it, but you could see the frustration that he's having from not scoring. Because the game, I'm not counting the Greenville game right now, but the New England game, it was Alcivar. No, I'm sorry. Was it Alcivar?
Ortiz.
It was Ortiz.
And the Atlanta game was Alcivar.
The Atlanta game was Alcivar. And he hasn't scored in a while, so you could tell he's getting frustrated. Rios also hasn't scored at all, although he has been making good plays, but he is a forward, so he is expected to score at some point.
I will say over the last, call it 3 games, for Rios, it looks like he's definitely getting at least like one clear chance per game.
Right.
Where it's like, really good odds on to score. As for Swiderski, I think he's having a little bit harder time, like especially since I think those games where he scored 2 back-to-back, it kind of put a mark on him. I think teams are starting to mark him a bit tighter.
Yeah.
And I think he's just now having trouble like finding space or getting the ball and releasing it like he was those games. But Rios is, I think, starting to kind of make up for that with, he hasn't put one in yet, but he's definitely had like some really close chances.
Yeah, it feels like the time for his goal is coming up soon. He just hasn't made the best of the opportunities as he's been given. But I mean, he has helped build the attack a lot. So I can't give him any slack for that. Like he's been doing what he's supposed to be doing, and that's either getting open or holding up the ball until somebody's open to pass it up or for a shot. Besides that, I think just Swiderski, especially in that one attack scene where we had when the keeper for Colorado blocked those 2 shots and then he just blasted that third one. I think he was just like, you could just tell he's just like frustrated and
trying to get some contact on the ball.
All these getting stopped.
Yeah, because if you go back and look at that replay, really he probably should have left it for Ortiz to take on his right.
Right.
As opposed to for him to kind of force an outside of the boot left-footed shot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he clearly just wants to make something happen.
Yeah, he just kind of wants to get back on track on putting some goals in the game.
Yeah.
Still, it's sometimes you can't force him in. Otherwise, you just end up blasting it over the goal.
Any other starters you want to highlight or anything like that, or should we go ahead and jump into some of the late substitutions we had?
No, besides that, I mean, Alcivar, I thought he had a pretty decent game. He had 1, maybe 2 shots on goal, where again he jumped on a ball from a counterattack. Besides that, no, not too much. What do you got?
No, yeah, I'd have to agree. I thought Alcivar had a good game of just creating chances. Unlucky to not score there. Thought the free kick he took from pretty far out was an ambitious attempt. He put it on frame, but with not a whole lot of speed. So I don't think it was ever really that dangerous of a free kick.
Right.
But also not upset that he tried it just because.
Yeah, you never know.
You never know. And then also, like, something we've kind of harped about all season long has been we don't really have any big target guys that are going to get on the end of a header, so why not try something different as opposed to just putting a ball, in the middle of that box or a 50-50? Why not just try to catch the goalkeeper,
sleeping.
Yeah, and just try to get something from far out.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the only goal we've had from a header was
Adam Armour's.
Armours, and he's not even in this game at all. So
Yeah, which not surprised.
that's not to say that you don't look for another target.
Yeah.
I think Rios or Fuchs or even Carujo, those are probably some of our tallest guys that were in at that moment when that free kick was taken. Those guys could definitely put one in like that. But
yeah, I agree they're our tallest guys, but nothing from any of those guys make me think that they're good at heading the ball. Like I've seen them I have a couple of attempts now, and it just doesn't look their heading skills just don't look that great to where they're going to be that big of a threat in the box.
Hope they prove you wrong, because we definitely need more goals like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think seeing Armour in the lineup would be nice for that reason. I mean, he obviously provides
maybe not even the lineup, but he would be a good sub for Mora.
Yeah.
Which I think you and I have talked about this plenty of times before now. But I mean, I just sure you feel the same way, but I feel like he deserves more minutes in some of these games than he has been getting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised he didn't play this week, just because he played all 120 at Greenville, and then at the end of that game got hurt as well and wasn't able to get subbed off. So I'm sure he just hadn't recovered yet, and playing at the altitude and stuff, I don't think it made a lot of sense to for him to play.
In fact, I think one of the commentators for at this game mentioned something in regards to that, how Armour had scored but was not starting because of the previous game. But I was just going back to think, I'm like, okay, but so did Ortiz, and he's in the starting lineup.
Yeah, but he didn't play 120 minutes.
No, that's true.
Him and Bender kind of both split that game and split this game.
Yeah, but I think in regards to this game, I thought the commentating was pretty garbage.
I don't even really recall. I mean, this game was on so late, and I was watching it on a bit of a delay.
Oh.
So I don't even really remember any of the commentary. I know for the Greenville game, I was pretty unhappy with that one. But
yeah, there was. I think we actually just saw the highlight there where Alcivar was taking a corner, and the commentators confused him more than once for Ortiz. And I was like, because they were saying Ortiz with the pink cleats. I'm like, that's not Ortiz at all. But it's like, okay.
Yeah.
And then they were trying to, like, you could tell they were just like Googling facts about about our coach there, trying to figure out where he was from and where else he had coached at. So I was just like, it's pretty lousy commentating there.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. Especially since Ortiz and Alcivar don't really look anything alike.
No, exactly.
One has blonde hair, one has black, one's a little bit stockier than the other.
Yeah.
So any other highlights, especially kind of in the first half, or that you wanted to cover?
No, I think we're pretty much done with that first half there.
Yeah, and then for the second half, we were definitely even more in control of. Again, it felt like this midfield's best game, especially the trio of Franco, Ortiz, and Alcivar. It felt like their best game so far this season, and are clearly just getting better and better each week. And then we come to the 69th minute, and we see Ben Bender get subbed in for Ortiz. What did you think of that substitution?
I thought that was fine. I like to see Bender in there as well. Ortiz had his chance there, and now it's just time for Bender to kind of put in some minutes and put in some work. And I thought the time that he did get, he utilized very well. I mean, he split defenses up when he had to. He moved the ball around well. Overall, for that position, he did good. Like you said earlier, we seemed a lot more in control that second half and a lot more threatening. It felt like a goal was about to drop at any minute in that second half.
Yeah.
And I know you covered our subs there, but we just seemed more threatening in that second half, to the point where Colorado, who had just signed Zarspies, he was one of their main stars over at LA Galaxy, then was traded to Columbus Crew, and now he's with Colorado. I mean, he hasn't been with the team more than 24 hours, hasn't seen a practice session. All from what I understood, all he's seen is just some tape from breakfast in that morning.
Yeah.
and they're already putting him in. So I thought that was a pretty desperate sub, but they're like just trying to get something going. Shows me that they don't really have a lot of depth in their forwards. The
Yeah.
one forward that did get some shots off both were, he hit post with. But yeah, I thought that Zarsby subs was just a very desperate attempt to get something going, and then just to try to keep up with our tempo.
Yeah, I thought, one interesting thing about that is just that of just putting him in, when he's so brand new to the team, like we said, less than 24 hours of being transferred, he's seeing a good amount of time. I forget when he got subbed on.
I think it was around the 65th or close to the 7th.
Yeah, the 60th minute. So pretty early on in that second half, he gets put on. And, I actually did want to talk about this. How do you view it as kind of a desperate move, showing that you probably don't have that much depth at that forward position. And how do you feel about, Colorado doing something like that compared to, us with our new signing of Yazwiak, who wasn't even on the bench for this game, after seeing, some probably like 60 minutes against Greenville.
Mm-hmm.
But now this is he's our second DP, supposed to be, kind of another dynamic attacking piece to the team. And this is, back-to-back MLS games now,
Right,
where he's not even on the bench. I mean, what do you make of that compared to, Colorado signing a brand new attacking, a new attacking piece and immediately throwing him in to try to, win a game?
right. Well, I mean, with Zarsby, he is a forward. Like that's his position. I'm pretty sure with Yazviak and other clubs he's played at, he's more of a right midfielder, right winger. So to put him in for, let's say, a Rios or a Franco, which are doing pretty good on that side, I don't know if the coach is just reserving him more for the U.S. Open Cup to try to make some type of run at it, or maybe he's just still not in tempo with the team. Because he wasn't even listed as one of the subs,
right?
If I'm not mistaken. But when I saw that, I mean, I am confused. I'm wondering, like, is there some sort of injury report that they're not putting out? Like, is he still not 100%, or are they just saving him for like a U.S. Cup run? Like, what's going on? They haven't really given out too many news or updates on that.
Yeah.
Maybe the coach is just set on his forward lineups. He doesn't want to mess up the tempo. Not exactly sure what's going on there, but it's enough to, like, at least they're not just throwing it out there or throwing him out there just to see what happens. Like, there seems to be some sort of thought in what I'm looking for. You probably can't cut this out, but there's some sort of like thought and preparation.
Yeah. No, I'm not cutting any of it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely was a little bit annoyed by it just because, the team is lacking in, before this game, the team was really lacking in creating goal scoring opportunities and having someone to put them away, besides Swiderski. And Yazwiak, looks like he can be that player, especially after what we saw against Greenville. Like, he clearly can go by one or two guys and release a shot with either foot, can cut in on either direction. He's got good speed, good dribbling. Right.
I mean, if he's to go in, are we both in agreement that he would be taking Franco's spot?
If it were up to me, I would actually probably have him take Bronico's spot, but move Franco to Bronico's spot, and then throw him out where Franco is. Because I actually think Franco could be that, like, holding midfielder that covers a lot of ground, distributes the ball really well, and then that gives us even more depth at that position, where then you've got, Jones and Bronico that can come off the bench, and Ruiz for Franco. And then you've also got, obviously, Ruiz can come in for, Yazwiak or Alcivar or, wherever. So it just gives you even more midfield pieces to play around with.
Yeah. See, that makes more sense. Because I hadn't even thought about just taking Bronico out, which you and I have both discussed. He needs to come out. I mean, not that he's bad. He's just
beat it with a dead horse.
He's just not that. He's not magical enough to be starting. He's not really making much happen.
And there's even time, like,
we'll cover
really quickly, but, like, there was times this game where I was trying to, like, watch him more and be like, I'm clearly I'm missing something. I'm missing why he needs to be in the starting lineup, clearly. So a lot of this time watching this game, I was just watching him.
Mm-hmm.
And then, kind of whenever the play would kind of move away from him and the camera would pan away, and they would, if it was like a quick counterattack by Colorado and there was a Charlotte midfielder that broke up the play or one attack, one got the ball back, I was like, okay, that's what he's doing. But then it would zoom in and it's like, oh no, it's Franco. Oh no, it's Ruiz. And then there's times where our middle is just wide open and a guy's driving down, and I'm like, that's where he needs to be, but no one's there. So again, like, I mean, we've talked about it so many times now, and again, like he seems like a very good guy, but just to me, it doesn't make sense to be why he's in the lineup.
Yeah, he's just not dynamic enough. And again, we've said this so many times. It's just like I did the same thing in this game where I paid more attention to him and Ruiz because although Ruiz went in fairly late, but to guys that I felt like, okay, like what am I missing? Why do I not like this guy?
I thought Ruiz had a much better game this week too.
Ruiz did have a much better game. He was more involved with the attack. He made more chances, but Bronico is just doing the same old stuff where he gets the ball and passes it to the side or passes it back. I'm like, move forward, do something going forward.
And even when it's like to the side though, it's like it's to Fuchs or Corujo, as opposed to like playing Lindsay or Mora into space and allowing them to like run up.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I guess
and
Ramirez
even when
really
he's on the
likes
defensive side where we're trying to get the ball back, he's not.
It's someone else making the tackle.
Yeah, it's somebody else making the tackle. He's not doing a great job at cutting off passing lanes. He's not doing a great job at getting those rebound balls when they shoot or miss or things like that. Like he's just there taking up space. And I hate to say it in such a negative manner, but I'm like, just try something different at that spot. That spot should be, like you had said many times, is for starting the attack. Like he that's the guy that
he's almost like your quarterback.
Yeah, exactly.
Dictating whether are you gonna do a quick counterattack through the air, so he plays the long ball up to the forward, or is it going to be a slower paced build up play, so he plays out to the wing backs, or
exactly.
it's that position is meant to set the tempo, and
his playbook seems to be pass it off to the side where Lindsay will carry it up, or just pass it to Kalina.
Yeah, and so like I have seen a little bit of like, and we're harping on this way longer than we should be, but like, and I don't want this podcast just to be like the Brant Bronico bully podcast.
That'll be a different podcast.
Yeah, we'll spin that one off. But like, I'm looking at his Sofa Score stats. Right, he was rated 6.5. He had 46 accurate passes, 66 touches. So that's pretty good. That sounds pretty good, right? That sounds good.
Sounds good.
One of them was a cross, which one was accurate. 5 long balls, which one was accurate. No shots on target, no shots off target, no shots blocked, 1 successful dribble. He was in 9 ground duels. He won 3.
Right.
That's 30. That's a 33% success rate, which means you're getting beat 66% of the time. That's not great. Won 1 aerial duel out of 3. So again, you're getting beat 66% of the time. Lost possession 10 times.
Mm-hmm.
And then 3 fouls, and was fouled 0 times. And was dribbled past twice and tackled twice. So, I'm watching the game, don't really see anything that's, really crazy to me. And then I'm referring to the stats, which is what, it seems like a lot of US and MLS fans love to do, is just refer to stats constantly.
Right.
And there's nothing out there either that is screaming like starter, No,
exactly. Almost like there's just like a gaping hole there. And I just want to say this and be done with Bronico. If you hadn't mentioned it in the first couple episodes, I would have never paid attention to him, because there's nothing to pay attention to. There's just like he's just there, and that's it. And he's not making anything happen. I want to see him do something, but time and time again, he's gotten a starting role and he hasn't done anything with it. And I just want to see something different now.
Yeah, and it's almost like that's kind of what the key message here needs to be, is like, we're not saying he's bad. but we're like it's such a vital position that just feels like it's going to waste.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, if you had a budget of $100 to build a team and you're just not using $10 of it, it's like, why wouldn't you? You know?
Right.
So, and we've got so much depth there too. Like we've got, you know, Jones, who I don't think he's been given a fair enough shot yet. And when he has come on, he's looked great. Ruiz is starting to look a bit better. I think you can play around with Bendor, Ortiz, and Alcivar, where they can be your three up front, and then you've got, you know, Franco and Ruiz can also play in that deep lying playmaker midfield role. So I think you have a lot of options there that just don't seem to be used. It just it's also kind of like, if it's not broke, maybe don't fix it, because he's definitely not the reason that goals are getting scored either. Like, I don't think that's the case, but again, it just feels like I just want to see something different there, just to see if we get more output.
I also just thought of this. Maybe coach is just putting him in there, building those stats, so it can be like, it looks like a nice trade offer. Be like, look at this guy, look at all these great passes, look at his match ratings, take them. You don't want to pass up on this.
You got to catch like a general manager who's just been like really busy and hasn't watched any tape.
Yeah,
and just has to like just go by the numbers. Like,
who's a head coach that just got fired, and they just, who was it?
DC United's coach?
DC United. There you go. There you go. Send him off.
Yeah.
You don't want that forward from Real Madrid.
Yeah, you want Bronico.
Get his own website with merch. Anyways, let's talk about anybody else but him.
Yeah. And then the last, you know, late substitutions, we get Mackenzie Gaines comes on, and Derek Jones comes on for Franco. I really like the Jones for Franco substitution. I wish it would have happened a little earlier. Not because, you know, Franco needed to come off or anything, but I think it's a very interesting idea of moving Jones further up the field.
Yeah.
Because again, I think he has a wide range of passing in his you know, skill set, as well as just being able to like be physical and dribble forward more. So I think he's a different type of dynamic player than Franco, but it, you know, I think can create good opportunities.
No, yeah, you're right on that. That was a good strategy move there by the coach, putting Jones on that side. I'm glad he's finally got some type of minutes, even though it was maybe 5 or 6. I hate to
see it literally come on the 90th minute.
Right, but yeah. I mean, you could tell also part of that substitution was there just to grind out the 0-0 and just get the 1 point away. Just fine. I mean, 1 point, like I said, is better than no points.
Yeah, and I think, you know, we've said it before too, like, it's a bit different in the MLS because you have a playoff system, so you're trying to get points to make playoffs, but in a lot of the bigger European leagues, you know, your season champion is based on who accumulates the most points. And, you know, one thing that a lot of the big teams have is they tend to not lose on the road. You want to at least obviously you always prefer to win away and at home, but you really want to at least pick up at least something when you go away.
Right.
And, you know,
it's fine. I mean,
yeah,
like you said, that's how that league in Europe is played and all that, but it's not how we do it here, and it's just a different strategy. Which is, it's fine. You know, no big deal. I
mean, I think playoffs definitely, for MLS being such a new league comparatively to all the European leagues, and it, you know, it makes sense to have a playoff system just because that's what American fans are used to from all the other sports.
Yeah.
But also because like you've got all these like salary caps and stuff, you're not going to have, you know, 2-3 teams like you do in the Premier League that just buy all the good players and then, you know, the season's over, you know, 4 or 5 weeks early because someone just, you know, gets enough points. Playoffs allows for, you know, underdog teams to make deep runs, interesting storylines to develop. So it's a bit more exciting. Like anything can really happen.
Yeah, rematches that needed to be. They just make for a good storyline there.
Yeah, like I mean, obviously this is super far fetched, but like imagine the storyline of Charlotte making it to the finals against LA again, and it's a replay of that game.
Right.
Like that would be huge. Like that would again sell out Bank of America Stadium.
Or, you know, wherever they play.
Yeah.
Whatever neutral zone they play at.
Yeah.
Also, I did notice there was a lot. I mean, not a lot, but enough fan turnout for Charlotte that I did hear their chant
Yeah.
every now and then. So for those guys that went out
Yeah,
over
if you
there,
traveled to Colorado,
yeah,
props
I
to
was like, good
you.
on you. I was like, that's man, that was awesome. I was glad to see the support there because I didn't think there would be any at all.
No, that's the one thing that's been a little that I've in the back of my head kind of thought is going to be a little bit hard for, MLS fans is just because how big the United States is and
Mm-hmm.
how like, when you're away, you really are
Yeah,
away. As
you're
opposed to
they're in
like
a totally different time zone.
yeah, as opposed to like, in England or Italy, it's such a smaller country that like
Right.
it's a 2 or 3 hour drive, at
Yeah.
most. So you always get a big away support,
Yep.
no matter where you go. But like here, it's gonna be like, yeah, we're playing, LA Football Club in LA. Like I don't know a lot of Charlotte fans that can easily make it out there for a weekend.
No. Mm-mm. No, I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the club and everything like that, but I'm not making a trip out there for just to watch the game. Like if I'm
Yeah,
going out to Colorado, I'm staying a couple days as well.
yeah,
And no, but still, I was very very happy to see the supporters out there. If you were one of the ones that made it out there and you're listening, shout out to you guys because I definitely heard you guys chanting. I know the coach and the players appreciated it, and I saw them go out there and kind of high five a couple of the guys by the stand. So that was pretty cool. Do you want to move on to Gaines?
yeah. So
I
I
know he
think
had a short run, but it was a nice little run.
yeah, so Mackenzie Gaines, comes on at the 90th minute, only plays 5 minutes, but, ultimately becomes the big storyline and
Mm-hmm.
takeaway from this game. Obviously, you see why he's getting some game time. Like, I mean, that dude's got some speed on him. Charlotte quickly play out of the back and get this counterattack. He turns on the afterburners at the halfway line and just outpaces the two defenders.
Yeah.
Swiderski is wide open in the middle. He scans over and looks at him, so he
Mm-hmm.
definitely does see him, but decides to go for it. And unfortunately, it gets blocked. And, I think you and I, we've been of two minds about it. One, obviously, if he scores that, no one cares that Swiderski's wide open.
Right.
And he's a forward, right? Like, he wants to score goals, he wants to get his name on the score sheet. But I think at the same time, we clearly need the points to stay in playoff contention.
Yep.
Big morale boost to get your first road away game win. And, a goal that late in the game definitely just kills the game. There's no way Colorado comes back from that. And it's been, the second time that he has shown poor decision making in front of goal. The first one being against Greenville, where he tries to chip the keeper as opposed to just settling the ball and going around him, and misses a goal scoring moment there. And then this one here, obviously, where he could have easily just squared the ball to Swiderski for a tap in, and it just doesn't happen. What did you think of it?
Yeah, when I first saw that shot and when I first saw that run, first of all, great job on Bender, always a playmaker when he's near the ball or just in the field at all. He blocks off the pass, which is going back to what you and I have discussed is we had great passing lane cutoffs, which developed to a counterattack, which is where this whole play just kind of stemmed from.
Mm-hmm.
Bender gets it, sends it up to Gaines. Gaines makes that beautiful speed run right down the right side. Look, those two defenders that were on him, I mean, those guys had to have been gassed.
Yeah.
You're now in the 95 or 90, past the 90th mark of the time played. Gaines is on fresh. So, yeah, he's definitely going to outrun him.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to get fouled, but I mean, that would have just given them an easy PK. So, smart decision there by the defense to just kind of stay on him and pressure him. When I first saw him take that shot in the game, I thought that was a well-earned shot. I thought he made the right call. When you and I first discussed it earlier, I was still in that same train of thought.
Mm-hmm.
But looking at the replay over and over again with you, I gotta say I think you're 100% right on this. Like he should have just sent that quick pass over to Swiderski, or hopefully Swiderski puts it in the back of the net.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a guarantee that he does,
It's
right? I
not a
mean, it's
guarantee.
probably
We've seen,
99%, but
yeah,
I've watched a lot of games where guys mess that up at the top level. I mean,
yeah.
there's even a highlight of Ronaldo,
No, there's not. No, there's
blowing
not.
one over the crossbar from 3 feet out.
Maybe the original Ronaldo.
No, this is your boy.
So,
So it can happen. So it's not a guaranteed goal, but
right, but it looked like
definitely
it
the
would have.
smarter play.
Yeah, yeah. From the angle that Gaines had shooting at that was very narrow, very hard to put in. Yeah, he should have crossed it. Swiderski was way ahead of his defender. The goalie was nowhere near that ball there, near to cut off the pass.
No, the goalie definitely committed to trying to make the save.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's just gonna go back to Swiderski's frustration buildup. I'm not sure what the coach is gonna feel like. I'm sure they're gonna be looking at that replay and be like, "Why didn't you pass it?" But then again, to not to damper down on Gaines there too much, he is just a 24-year-old striker that's just coming off a sub, trying to make some sort of highlight reel so he can get more playing time. This is probably gonna hurt his chances a little bit more.
I mean, I know
Still,
for me,
it wasn't awful.
yeah, it wasn't like
At least it was on target.
Yeah, if he would have blown it way over the crossbar,
Right.
that would have been a totally different story. But I know, at least for me going forward, I am a little bit worried about his decision making in front of goal.
Right.
That being said, though, he is one of the more dynamic pieces of this team that get into those positions. Like, I don't see well, this game I guess Rios did get into that position a couple of times, but before that, I don't see something like that from a lot of guys in this team.
Right. I mean, Rios had a couple of breakaway runs where he probably, like, if he had been selfish, he would have took the hard shot, but he decided to step back, hold the ball, and pass it up.
Mm-hmm.
He had one or two chances like that this game, where earlier in the season we saw where I believe Ortiz was wide open or somebody where he should have passed the ball off and he took the shot instead. What I'm hoping and what I think probably happened in the same situation with Rios is, they go back to the tape and they show him like, okay, look, this was your guy here. Don't be selfish. This is a team. It's a team win. It's not just you. So I'm hoping that Gaines kind of gets some sort of like the same lecture. If anything, it's like, go back and look at the tape.
Yeah.
And see why that shot, although it was a good shot, but why it was the wrong choice. And hopefully he learns and develops from that.
Yeah.
He's still young.
Yeah, like you said, he's still a young guy. A lot to learn, and this will just be one lesson that he's gonna probably learn the hard way. But yeah, hopefully it doesn't completely get him unselected from the team. I definitely still want to see him get some more game time. But we'll just work on that decision making. Any other final notes on the game?
Yeah, I mean, I know you hadn't noticed it before, but I had never seen anything like this when Colorado lines up to take a corner, all their guys line up in a row in front of the box between the penalty marker and the 6-yard box. They all line up in one row, and then they sprint off to their, I guess, positions to get. I thought that was the weirdest thing. And it also made me nervous each time because I'm like, what weird witchcraft is this? Like, I've never seen something like this. Obviously, it didn't work and it was not effective at all. But it was just like, I've never seen this strategy before. It's one of those weird, hopefully it's just a fad. Like those ones you see now where they're free kick and there's this guy laying on the floor. I'm like, come on, the chances of somebody making it through the bottom, yes, there's a chance, but why would you put somebody just straight laying on the floor? It just looks silly to me.
Well, I'll never forget when Ronaldinho scored that way, of like taking it under the wall, and people were just mind blown. And they're like, I never even thought of like trying that. I mean, I never thought of trying that. Like,
no.
Yeah, like the wall jumps every time.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. So I get why like these things happen every now and then. But yeah, I'd never seen anything like that before either from a corner kick.
But taking a free kick and keeping it low to the ground under the wall is such a hard skill.
Yeah.
And to keep power on it where like the keeper doesn't block it. I mean, there's only a select few that can and have done that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see, MLS, um, not to hate on MLS, but I just don't see it happening in this league.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was just, I thought that was the weirdest thing I've ever seen is just all these guys line up in a row. Like they're going to go to the bathroom or something.
It reminds me of basketball plays a little bit. Like I feel like you see that sometimes on like inbound passes or something. Like when you're uh doing like a pass in on your opponent's, like you're underneath your opponent's goal where you're trying to score. I feel like I've seen players do it there in basketball, but not ever in a corner kick.
Well, see what was weird to me about it is, normally doing a free kick, you have your two set pieces. You got your near post and your far post guy,
Yeah.
and then you have your in betweens, and then somebody at the top of the box. But it wasn't like that at all.
No.
I was like, so like it's definitely just gonna go somewhere, but like there's no, I don't know, it's just odd. There's no set guy that is going to it. Like, how do you practice that? Like, how do you know who it's gonna go to?
Yeah.
But I don't know if somebody out there knows more about that. Let us know because I was just baffled and I thought it was just so silly.
Yeah. One thing though, I think that I've noticed over our corner kicks is we've definitely got to work on.
Yeah, not that like our corners are any better.
It feels like we never get past the near
They're more
post.
standard. Yeah.
Yeah. But all right, I think that covers the match. Next game is this weekend on what day is it on?
Saturday. Maybe.
The 30th.
Yeah.
Is that a Saturday?
I guess. You're looking at your phone. I'm pretty sure it's Saturday.
Okay, yeah, it's a Saturday.
Told you.
We've all confirmed it now. So this Saturday we'll be playing Orlando SC.
Oh, wait, it's a leap year.
We'll be playing Orlando SC down in Orlando. And that's going to be definitely the toughest of the last two away games.
Mm-hmm.
I think we said that when right before the New England game that this was going to be a tough stretch of games and it was going to be ending with a tough game of having to face Orlando. But after watching, their highlights, they're coming off a home loss against New York Red Bull, but New York Red Bull looked like a very dangerous team. And then before that, we kind of saw them beat up the Chicago Fire. And to both of our surprise, Alexander Pato plays for Orlando SC.
Yeah.
I was wondering where that guy went, but Orlando's attack looks very, very good, very dangerous.
Yeah.
Could definitely see it being a big mismatch for us.
They their attack it looks very strong. They look like they have very good rhythm and tempo, and they know their attackers and midfield knows where they need to be. They know how to get that 1-2 pass off real quick. They seem to like really get into good space and win the ball towards the middle of the box there, which is very threatening. The one weakness, if you could even call it that, is like they don't seem to finish a lot of those opportunities with goals. Like we saw watching a couple of these highlights, those guys just clearly missed open chances where they could have ran the score up even more, or when they played New York where they could have gotten some goals in on them. But hopefully that works in our favor. Hopefully that stuff happens and they just completely blow their shot. But it is going to be tough. I mean, we're going to be on their home turf. They are number 3 in the table right now, and we're still at number 8. So if that says anything,
and a kind of similar storyline of when we went and faced New England, they're coming, off of a loss. And again, they were at home for that one. They clearly don't want to lose at home again. So they will definitely be looking to try to get all 3 points here. Yeah.
So I would say this is one of our stronger opponents that we face. I don't see it being too hopeful for us. But I'm hoping that our Charlotte guys prove us wrong. I mean, I'm always rooting for them. I'm always wanting them to win. Best case scenario, I'll say like 1-0. More realistic scenario is probably going to be like a 2-0 on us losing, if I'm being realistic.
Yeah, I mean, the defense is definitely just gonna have to be, at the top of their game. Because when we're, as we were watching highlights, Orlando has no problem, breaking down defenses. They create a lot of chances. As we saw, they don't put them all away, so that is like our saving grace there.
Yeah.
But we're gonna have to see more of this fluid, dynamic attacking pattern that we saw from Charlotte here in Colorado, of just link up play with multiple guys, move the ball around quickly, and take some shots from outside the box. Find some passes into the middle of the box with guys getting open. But yeah, it's gonna be a tough game. I would take another 0-0 tie, honestly.
Yeah, actually, yeah. I'd love another 0-0 tie. That'd be fine. Always rooting for the win. But now it's we're in the season. I don't want to say it's middle of the season yet.
Yeah.
But we're in enough where like you can start to see who the strong teams are.
Mm-hmm.
And Orlando's up there.
Yeah, absolutely. And
oh, did we have any new shout outs? I doubt it.
That is your job to check, not mine.
I did check on Google. Wait, no, not Google. YouTube. We had none. In Spotify. I don't think you can do that on Spotify.
I'm a boomer. I have no idea.
Oh god. Okay, you talk about something while I look.
Man, I wish Ronaldinho still played. We did not get enough of that guy.
Who?
Ronaldinho.
He's all right.
You can't tell me there was anything more exciting than watching him.
No, yeah, he definitely changed the game for the better. Oh, we do have a new one.
Nice. Well, shout him out, dog.
Okay, hold on. I gotta make sure it's real. Oh, it is. Okay. This one is from...
Wait, what's your verification process?
I just look at the date.
Oh, gotcha.
I don't know. There's no verification process. I'll take a fake review. You guys know how to sign up some bots? Do it. All right, this is from TimeAt25. It says, Best Charlotte podcast. It said, these guys provide a good review of the matches, make it lighthearted, and provide a hard but fair review of the players. I'd say that's pretty accurate, Yeah. We're hard and fair on Bronico. Oh, another thing I forgot to mention was Polina's third clean sheet, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, let's recap. Who was his first one against? Cincinnati?
Yeah.
There's this one. So that's definitely at least. Oh, and then Atlanta.
And Atlanta, right.
Yeah.
And McCoon hasn't played in any of those clean sheet games. So I'm on to something.
You might be onto something.
Yeah, I think McCoon just...
The backline does look a lot better.
Yeah.
I don't see anyone being able to argue otherwise.
Yeah. I don't want to hate on McCoon too much. I'd like to see him play. It's just a different team.
He's a young guy. I'm sure he'll get better.
Hopefully. Yeah.
If not,
once I get FIFA, I'm cutting him right away.
Wait, so you did the shout out?
Yeah, so that was it.
All right. Well, we appreciate the review, Matt. And for anyone else that wants a shout out, obviously feel free to leave a review on Apple Podcasts. That's where we check primarily, or YouTube. We're trying to check that more often. Or feel free to follow us at offsides_CLTFC on Instagram and Twitter. And we will start posting about doing shout outs there because I always forget. But other than that, we will catch you guys next week. Bye.
Hasta mañana.